taking an extra rest day. Great advice that gets ignored. Recently, Nick Best was on the Mark Bell podcast. I don't usually listen to Mark Bell. I feel like they talk about drugs too much, but I'm a huge Nick Best fan, so how could I pass up? And in this podcast, at one point, Nick says that, his advice is to add an extra rest day. So if you're currently doing a 7-day split, make it an 8-day, just add a rest day. And I think that that is some of the best advice I've ever heard. Now, he's not the first person to say this. I've heard other people say this. I've even heard Ed Cohn say this. I've heard other very high-level athletes, very high-level lifters talk about adding an extra rest day. In fact, actually, if you follow Brian Carroll, Brian Carroll talks about the importance of these rest days and, how he only goes heavy, like every 10 days and stuff like that, which is something that I myself implemented. Now, I know what you're thinking, though. Chad, this is weird coming from you because you train 7 days a week. Yes, I understand that. And so I'm going to explain to you how I implemented it, and maybe this will make some sense. I don't lift for Instagram. I know some people do. Some people like to post their really heavy lifts. I tend to post like my first set. I rarely post my work sets, and I don't like posting my heavy ones because my form doesn't look as good on those as it does on a warm-up set. So when I share things like this is how to front squat, I choose a set that actually is done properly, not the one where I'm straining and struggling to hold my form. Now, this has been interesting to me, though, because I'll get messages from people, and people will be like, I don't understand how you squat 345. I see videos of you doing front squats with 95 pounds. It's like, yes. Or someone messaged me the one day, and they're like, I don't understand. You posted a video of yourself doing a strict overhead press with 225 for a set of 3, and then after that, you were squatting 95 pounds for sets of 10. Like, how do you overhead press more than you squat? That's quite an assumption. So here's the deal. If I press overhead and I go heavy on the overhead press, I go light on everything else. Yeah. So like on a day where I go really heavy on the overhead press and I press, 225 for a set of 3, I'm not going to go heavy on my squat. I'm not going to go heavy on my deadlift. I'm not going to go heavy on anything else. Or on a day where I go heavy on the squat and you see me do a really heavy single, and it's hard, I go light on everything else. But a lot of these days, people message me and they're like, I don't understand. You're doing push presses with 95 pounds for sets of 20. It's like, yeah, because that's my rest day. That's my easy day. You see, I don't like to have a full rest because I find that if I don't get moving, my joints hurt. I have arthritis because I'm old and, it's just part of being an old man. But, if your front squat is 345, what is it for you to come in and just do 3 sets of 10 with 95 pounds? It's not even a warm-up weight. It's just moving. Same thing for if you can overhead press 225 for a set of 3, what is it for you to do some push presses with 95 pounds for sets of 10 to 20 reps? It isn't, like it's a warm-up. But I like doing push presses with really light weight because it uses my legs. So it's a full body movement, right? I've posted the video of myself, pulling deadlifts everywhere from, 455 to 495. And then people are like, well, I don't understand because I see you doing, sets of, 10 to 20 reps with 225. It's like, yeah, because that's a light day. That's a rest day. I don't take a full day off, right? So the whole idea of having an extra rest day, I don't take a full day off because I don't like having a day off where my joints get all creaky and then I feel like shit the next day. I don't move well the next day. But, if I just come in and I squat 95 pounds, even a back squat, 95 pounds for 3 sets of 10, the next day my joints feel better. So then I don't have to spend an hour warming up. So moving frequently is good for you. Anyways. But this is something I have taken to heart myself, is that I don't go heavy as often as I used to. I used to go heavy like every day. I used to do stuff like 1 lift a day, which was great because it would be like, well, I'm going to max out on back squat on Monday, and then I'll max out on snatches on Tuesday. I'll max out on deadlifts on Wednesday. Thursday, I'll max out on front squats. Friday, I'll max out on overhead press. Saturday, I'll max out on cleans. And then, maybe Sunday, I'll max out on behind the neck presses or something, right? And it was like, by rotating lifts, it allowed me to go heavy every single day. But it's a weird thing because CNS fatigue is not real. It's not. It happens to endurance athletes, but not strength athletes. But you know what does happen? You just start to feel shitty from pushing hard all the time. Your sleep gets kind of crappy. Your joints get kind of achy. Like, it just doesn't feel good. So what I've implemented is that my rest days are just movement. Like, I'll grab a 16-kilo kettlebell and swing it for 3 sets of 50. That's not a big workout, guys. Like, that's pretty low. It's pretty easy. You'll see me do stuff like a set of 50 air squats. Yeah, I'm moving just for the sake of moving. It's just to get the joints moving. This is a rest day, though. You know, if I'm doing presses with, dumbbells, maybe 25-pound dumbbells, and I'm doing back squats with 95 pounds, and I'm doing swings with a 15 to 16 kilo kettlebell or whatever, like, that is the rest day. It's just me moving around for a bit. Because I'm not going to go for a walk. It's not going to happen. I live in Duluth. It was minus 41 Fahrenheit not too long ago, like maybe just a couple weeks ago. It's cold, it's icy. The other night I took out the garbage. I fell on the ice. So, like, I don't want to go for a walk whenever everything's covered in ice. So, my solution is just to do some light movement. That's my rest day. Maybe for you live somewhere nice and you can go for a walk, okay? Anyways, the point here, though, is that this idea of taking an extra rest day, it's brilliant. It's like one of the best things I've ever done. So I have an extra day now where I just go ahead and just move around more. I move. It's not a full rest. It's not like I lay on the couch. But I'm not lifting heavy, and I'm not straining, and I don't have anything to recover from. Like, I'm not sore or anything. And I really feel like this is one of the best pieces of advice that's out there, and everyone just ignores it because everyone's like, no, I gotta stick to my 7-day split. Dude, you don't have to stick to a 7-day split. You don't. You can do 8 days. You can do 10 days. You can do 12 days. It doesn't matter. You can take whatever split you're currently doing and add a rest day. And, like, you don't even have to do that. Like, I've pointed this out to people before. Whether or not you want to admit it, CrossFit was right about the whole 3 days on, 1 day off thing. That was pretty smart, actually. And I realized that makes it into a 6-day split. Yuck. It doesn't fit your week. Yeah, that's true. It doesn't fit your week very well, does it? But gosh, that works really well, though, if you actually stick to it. 3 days on, 1 day off, 3 days on, 1 day off. It works really well. It's like you can push really hard for 3 days and then you get that 4th day to recover. It's a lot easier than doing 5 on and 2 off. I know 5 on, 2 off works better, right? Because you're like, oh, wow, 5 on, 2 off, fits my week. I got the weekend to do whatever I want. Okay, well, why don't you do this? Like 3 on, 1 off, 2 on, 1 off. Now you got the 7 days again, But anyways, yeah, I think it's a great piece of advice. Everyone ignores it. So I'm just reiterating it here. I didn't come up with this. I'm just passing along things from smarter people than me. People who've been doing it longer than me. People who have been doing it better than me. And I genuinely think it's one of the best pieces of advice out there that no one ever follows.